All right, this week on Fantasy Football Reporters, we got an action-packed show. We're going to get right into it. I'm here with my long-haired friend, Sean Hammer and Hank Marucci. I'm Frank the Tank Ropeman. Last week's winner of the Stat Challenge, Sean Huber. Won the 2 cards. Congratulations, Sean. The Dustin Keller rookie card, gold rookie card, and the Devery Henderson Game Used Jersey rookie card. Congratulations to you. This week's Stat Challenge, we have a Deshaun Jackson College to the Pros rookie card.
Here it is.
Here's a picture of it here. Good card, great player. Give us his stat line. You guys know how it works. Receptions, receiving yards, touchdowns, and total offensive yards for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are playing who this week?
They are playing the New York Giants. Make sure it's going to be receiving touchdowns because he does get some rushes. He does have a rushing touchdown on the year. Actually.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. We are going to go right into the Bonehead Play of the Week.
Yep.
So this week, the Bonehead Play belongs to none other than Glover Quinn of the Houston Texans. How are you, sir?
I'm good. It's Glover.
It's Glover for sure?
It's from French.
You're French.
Yeah, I think so.
You look a little French to me. Just throwing it out there.
Right here.
I see it. It definitely resembles a French person to me. But when in Rome. Anyways, were you mad at your parents when they named you Glover? Honestly?
No, because, I didn't really know how to pronounce it till I was, in my teens anyways, and it wasn't that big of a deal.
All right.
Until it came up.
All right. Yeah, I don't even know what you're saying right now, but that's all right. Moving on. Let's take a look at the play here. David Garrard, back to pass. I hate David Garrard, first of all. Throws up a Hail Mary. And there you are.
Got it. There I am.
You are just standing there.
Defense. That's one pass.
There's not even anybody near you except another defender. And for some reason, you don't want to intercept the ball. You don't like the stats, apparently. You just decide to spike it two-handed, very softly, mind you, right to Mike Thomas.
Oh.
And he just happens to walk into the end zone to score a touchdown.
He scored on that play?
How did you feel after that?
No. I thought I defended it. It hit the ground.
You're terrible.
We won the game.
You're completely lying. It was tied up, first of all. Secondly, you lost the game because you're not good, apparently.
But let me ask you this. Frank, is it?
It is Frank.
In the stat book, that's one pass defended for me, right?
I believe so.
There you go.
That's pretty terrible. You're a terrible human being. Was Andre Johnson mad at you after the game? Because he had a game and he's a beast.
Who does he play for?
Exactly. All right, Glover. Apparently you're about as dumb as
Glover.
the other. No, I'm calling you Glover from now on. You're terrible. You're a terrible human being, and you made your team lose. Congratulations. It's going down in the history books like a Doug Flutie type play, and we're gonna see you. You're probably cut, so I'm never gonna see you again. You're probably getting cut this week after that terrible play. We'll never see you on the Bonehead Plays again. Don't ever come back because you're getting cut. You're going. We'll see you in the CFL. Have a good life.
CFL.
All right. Well, that was Glover terribleness. Jacksonville. I couldn't even believe that play. But anyways, moving on. We're gonna give it over to Sean for the weekend review.
First, we have some Monday night silliness for you. Mike Vick makes his first Monday Night Football start since back in 2006, and he is the story this week. Passes for not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 TDs in the game. And if that wasn't enough, he rushed for 2 more, going for 413 all-purpose yards in the blowout. What do you think about this guy, Frank? I mean, this is pretty crazy.
He's pretty much unstoppable at this point, and I'm glad I listened to you and traded for him in our league because you're pretty much the man.
Exactly my thoughts, Frank. His passing TDs went to Macklin, Avant, McCoy, and on the first play from scrimmage, an 88-yard bomb to Deshaun Jackson. The only bright spot for Washington was Keelan Williams, starting in the place of injured running backs Clinton Portis and Ryan Torian. Williams rushed for 89 yards, 2 scores, and caught another touchdown to go with his 50 yards receiving. On to the Week 10 in review. Yep, Week 10 in review. Starting with QBs. Matt Castle, 469 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tom Brady, 350 yards, 3 TDs. Finally makes the list. He's had a rushing touchdown as well. Right. Ben Roethlisberger, 95% of his points were garbage time points. I was going up against him in one league. He had 387 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like I said, 90% were in the fourth quarter, garbage time points.
Right.
Running backs, Freddie Jackson has a huge day, 133 yards and a score, 37 receiving yards for another touchdown. MJD hits the 100-yard mark exactly, and he does get the 2 touchdowns. Noshawn Moreno, 106 yards and 50 yards through the air, and that's where he got his touchdown too, was receiving. Moving on to wide receivers, Dwayne Bowe continues to make this list. 13 receptions, 186 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he was on the bench of the guy that I played, one of the teams that I played this week.
Lucky for you.
Lucky for me. Roddy White, 12 receptions, 138 yards. He does get the 2 touchdowns, and that's against Baltimore. Mike Wallace takes advantage of those garbage time points that Ben Roethlisberger had. He goes for 136 and 2 touchdowns. Tight ends really quick. Rob Gronkowski in that same game. 5 receptions, 72 yards. You're thinking, okay, a mediocre day. 3 touchdowns. Owned in only 11% of the leagues, available in 89%. So you might want to take a look at him if you need a tight end. And Anthony Fasano is the only tight end that breaks the 100-yard mark. He goes for 107 and a score. Now I'm going to pass it over to Frank for the Week 10 busts.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
Real quick, Reggie Wayne, 3 for 34. Cedric Benson, 14 rushes, 24 yards. He had 5 catches for 27, but he lost a fumble. He only had about 5 or 6 points in most fantasy leagues. And we actually had Javid Best going up against Buffalo. He had 17 rushes for 35 yards and 4 catches for 14. Just terrible.
Pretty bad.
All around terrible. Against Buffalo, who's giving up, they were giving up 186 yards a game against the rush. Hines Ward, due to injury, 0 for 0.
First time in a while.
Yeah, first time, 186 games or something to that effect in a row with a catch. So I'm sorry for you, Hines, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mike Turner, 17 rushes, 39 yards. Snelling had a decent game again. Do you think Snelling's going to start seeing even a more increased role at this point?
Well, I mean, if he's putting up these kind of numbers, why not? I mean, Atlanta's got to look at him if Turner's not delivering like they think he should, and I mean, we all think he should.
Right.
Then Snelling is going to keep getting more and more touches.
Right. Yeah, Snelling's look good. Yeah. Brandon Marshall, 3 for 34. Peyton Manning, only 185 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, pretty mediocre day. Thomas Jones, 4 rushes, 3 yards, 1 catch for 19. Ouch. That's all I have to say about that. Jason Witten, even worse. 1 catch, 7 yards. My goodness. Pass it back to Sean for some injury updates.
Yep. A couple of injuries to talk about this week. Kerry Collins first. He's going to be out several weeks with a calf injury. Vince Young will be the starter. Steve Smith of the Giants has a torn pectoral muscle, or partially torn pectoral muscle, and he might miss more than just next week's game against the Eagles.
That happened in practice, too.
Yeah.
We're talking about practice. He's on my team, and I'm very mad at you, Tom Coughlin.
That's
Dumb.
a tough injury. That's
stupid.
Really tough for a receiver.
Thursday practice, mind you.
Brett Favre has a sore vagina and continues to blame everyone except himself for the Vikings' troubles.
3-6.
Beanie Wells said that skipping last week's game did wonders for his knee, and he looks to be back in the lineup next Sunday. Clinton Portis still out with a groin injury. You want to check his status during the week because he could be getting back to practice next week, but they're not sure yet. Hines Ward, like we said earlier, suffered a concussion against the Pats Sunday night. Didn't even get a reception. And Chad Henne goes out, and Chad Pennington goes out with a shoulder injury, and they had Tyler Thigpen in there. So look for the Dolphins to possibly sign another quarterback this week, depending on Henne's injury status. But Pennington's out for the year. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Frank for the predictions on Week 11.
This week we're going to do a little different, seeing that last week was so opposite of what we said. It seems like every single week in the NFL, any team can win. And we're going to focus a little bit on the Cleveland Browns. But wouldn't you agree? It seems like even Buffalo's putting up some fights with people. And I know they finally got their first win, but doesn't it seem that way on any given Sunday that any team can really find a way to win? Yeah, there's really no team this year that's really, put a stamp, on the NFL and said, oh, we're the number one team. Usually in the past couple of years we've been seeing, teams at this point in the season looking at an undefeated season. Is it New Orleans? Is it Indy? But this year, it's really been any given Sunday. It's really rung true. Right, absolutely. I mean, Cleveland Browns, they kill the Patriots by 20 points. Then the Patriots kill the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Pittsburgh killed Cleveland by 18. So, I mean, just take that into, it's just crazy. And then that same Cleveland team had killed the New Orleans Saints by, I mean, it wasn't killed, it was 13
They
points.
beat 'em.
But they were beating them handily for most of the games. Drew Brees got some garbage time points in there. And moreover on Cleveland, they have a really tough schedule to start this year. I mean, I'm going to give you the rundown here. All right, so week 1, lost to Tampa Bay by 3. Week 2, lost to 2 to the Chiefs. Then week 3, they lost by 7 to Baltimore. They beat Cincy. Moving on to Atlanta, they lost by 10. Got killed by Pittsburgh. Then they beat the Saints and then New England in a row. And then they lost to the Jets in overtime by 6 after Chancey Stuckey fumbled the ball in overtime. And it went back and forth. They missed a 47-yard or whatever. So they've had a really tough schedule. It gets a little easier the rest of the way. I mean, they do have the Steelers and Ravens to finish off the season, but they have the Jags, Carolina, the Dolphins, and the Bills and the Bengals the next 5 games, and then Ravens and Steelers to finish off the year. But the first 10 games, I mean, that's a pretty tough schedule, especially seeing that KC's playing so well. So for the predictions this week, go with whoever has the most fantasy points per game thus far. I mean, you got to stick with your big guns. I mean, if you have, like in my league, I have a couple guys that are close. Like I have Ray Rice and Ahmad Bradshaw that I could use this week. In that case, I might look at the matchup a little bit more. But as for busts, I mean, check out the matchups. If there's a terrible matchup, like me and Sean were talking about it earlier about the rushing defenses. Number 9 through number 22 are separated only by 10 yards per game. Number 9 being Minnesota Vikings are giving up 100 yards a game rushing, even. Mm-hmm. Number 22, I believe, was Cincinnati Bengals were giving up 115.
115, yeah.
So, I mean, there's 15 yards a game difference. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. But if you're going up against like a Pittsburgh, they're only giving up 68 yards a game. I mean, you might want to think about it. So that's the way to look at it. Moving on, we're in the playoff push. Mm-hmm. Make some last minute trades if you can, as we talked about last week. And also email us. We'll give you our honest opinions, and hopefully we do it right. I mean, just give you the stats, and it's up to you from there.
Yep.
That's all I have. You have anything else?
Go fuck yourself, Indianapolis.
Please pass the Grey Poupon, Jennifer Aniston.
Thanks, Glover.